Okay, so a few years ago, when Clay and I were still in kind of the early part of our Disney marathon, which ended up lasting more than a year, by the way, Raya and the Last Dragon came out in theaters. And the two of us decided, regardless of how far we are in our marathon, let's just go ahead and see it in theaters. Because we're not going to have a lot of opportunities to do that. And, if we're watching every Disney movie anyway, it's going to be kind of cool to get another one not only added to the list, but to see it like how it was meant to be seen, all that kind of shit. And I remember watching it and thinking to myself, this is all right. Like, I kind of like it, but I feel like something's missing. Like, it feels like this is an adaptation of a much larger work with like really rich lore and characterization, and the pacing is a lot slower. Like, it takes a while to get from location to location. And there's maybe, kind of like a side quest here or there along the way. But what a lot of that pacing is for is just allowing the characters to breathe, and just kind of the weight of their situation and their dying world is just hitting them that much harder. But because they're united and because they have each other, their bonds thus become stronger. The movie is giving me like the bare bones of the story and enough of the characters, but it's very clearly like the Cliff Notes version. It's like watching a lot of adaptations of like a book or a show or whatever. And it's weird to know that this was an original story because, like I said, it has that feel of an adaptation. I remember, to kind of to put it another way, and the way I'm really trying to get to me, I think Raya would have been better as a show, and it's the medium that holds back it's the medium that really holds back the experience. This is not a video about Raya. This is about Clannad, so you can probably tell where I'm going. Where the VN is concerned, I feel like its medium holds it back. I think it would be much better as a show, and I say that as someone who has watched the anime multiple times and absolutely loves it. And I can't say that about the VN. I didn't hate it. There were definitely parts where I loved it. But overall, I didn't enjoy the experience of reading it. And I think for me, what it really comes down to, there's a part of me that wants to say that Nagisa being the main route is part of that, and it's kind of true. It is a little bit weird that in a dating sim, and to be fair, there's a lot of sub routes that aren't dating, but then there's other sub routes and even main routes where there are, and then even like at the end of Fuko's route, you don't have to go for the romantic option, and it also I'm sorry, Fuko's route is fucking weird, man. I love it. I think it is genuinely hilarious because Fuko is a fucking funny character. It's genuinely heartbreaking. I was crying at the end of it because I love her story. But also, I'm like, I don't feel any romantic chemistry between these two. This feels like a big brother and his little sister who are just messing with each other constantly. And then at the end, it's like, oh, I guess I love you. I think I love you too, Okazaki. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Where did this shit come from? It is a little weird to me that to do most of these main routes, I believe there's 5 main routes: Nagisa, Fuko, Katomi, Kyo, and Tomoyo. Kyo's is the only one that does not need Nagisa at all. Even Tomoyo's, which I think you need Nagisa for like one scene, you still need her, otherwise, you can't finish the route where she's not involved in. I think she's maybe a little too shoehorned in some of these, at least Tomoyo's in particular. And I think that is a little annoying. And that's not because I dislike Nagisa. I adore Nagisa. But I think my problem is the medium of a visual novel, with not just here's the main route and now you can like hang out with other people too and then kind of flesh out their stories a bit. It's these are all separate routes with separate endings and credit scenes. It To me it feels like a direct contradiction of Clannad's biggest theme. For me, the biggest theme of Clannad is not family. And I know that sounds probably really stupid. I think the actual word Clannad or like Clannad or however the fuck you're actually supposed to pronounce it, I think it is supposed to be like the Celtic or Gaelish word for family. I could be wrong about that. I think I've heard that before. You know, it's something that is reinforced several times, especially in Nagisa's route and the after story where Akio and Sanai are like, hey, we're family, family helps each other out. There's always that constant, like, in every route, Tomoya has the relationship with his dad, which is incredibly frayed and has a lot of like focus on it. Like, I get that. It is, for me, the second most important theme of the story. To me, the first most important theme is growth. It is not just that things change, it is that things evolve. And in pretty much every route, maybe not quite every route, I don't think there's really any growth from Kyo in her route. I think you can make an argument with Tomoyo. Not really Fuko. I don't think Fuko really grows. She just wakes up. Katomi undergoes a lot of growth in her arc. It is growth. Part of her growth is, coming out of her shell, being able to make friends, something she struggled with as a kid, and has always kind of had that mental block for, but she's able to overcome it. There's also for her the growth of getting closure. Closure on the death of her parents and her relationship with Tomoya when they were kids. Nagisa undergoes a metric fuck ton of growth throughout this entire story of being someone who is physically weak as well as mentally and emotionally weak, but someone who becomes a lot stronger. Unfortunately, she never gets stronger physically, but you get it in her emotions, you get it in her mind. And I love seeing that development. Her relationship with Tomoya early on, it's very timid. Like, yeah, I like Okazaki, but he wouldn't go for a girl like me. And just like whenever he does things, just kind of like, okay, like you can kind of do whatever you want. And no, like when they become a couple, like she gets a backbone. And I really appreciate that. And even then, like her arc in just her main route in part one is I want to put on a play, I want to put on a performance, and her going through all these obstacles to be able to do it. She still has her weaknesses, like when she finds out that, oh god, my parents essentially gave up their entire lives and their dreams for me, and I don't think I'm worth that. And that's really fucking sad. Okay, I feel like now that I am talking about it, because like, what is it that gets her out of that? It's her dad, and her dad saying, hey, you're our family, you are the... Now, yeah, family is really the number one theme of Clannad, but growth is up there. Growth is really close, and the problem I have is when you're playing a visual novel, especially one like this, where every route is its own story, independent of the others, everyone's growth is reset. That's what bothers me when I watch it in the show and I'm seeing these characters get to know each other better, become friends, undergo their arcs and their development. That shit sticks for the rest of the series. And to me, that makes them a lot more endearing, especially because it's Clannad. As much as I love Clannad and I love these characters, they do not leave a good first impression. I remember the first time I watched the anime. It took me till about the end of Fuko's arc to start liking the show, because I just found everyone so obnoxious and annoying. Sunohara is fucking irritating. Kyo is awful. Tomoya's just a dickhead. Akio and Sanai, I think, are way too much. And Fuko was Fuko. And as it goes on, again, at least in the anime, and you get to know them better, and you also kind of get used to their eccentricities, and they start to become friends, and you kind of feel yourself vibing with them. You're like, okay, it's an acquired taste. But I don't want to finish that metaphor. Like, I don't want to say I like the taste. That sounds weird in context. It takes a while for it. Okay, the metaphor, what I always say about Clannad is that it grows on you like a benign tumor. You don't like that you have a tumor, but it's not hurting you, and eventually you're like, I guess this is okay. I think I lost it trying to go to talk about metaphors and shit. My point is this. In the anime, because you see the characters grow with each other, for me, they become a lot more palatable. In the VN, where I'm seeing the same scenes over and over and over again, and I just have to fucking fast forward through them, it's annoying and time consuming. The scenes, a lot of them I just don't think are that funny. They don't leave great first impressions. And because I keep seeing them reset, there is no consistent growth. I'm just used to seeing them in their stage 1 versions that suck. Unless I'm doing their route, which isn't important in the end, because Nagisa's is the one that's important. And you can make an argument against that. You can say that every route is important because of the orbs of light. Because the gimmick of Clannad as a story is that what you, the player, are trying to do is essentially fulfill the wishes of people in town. Like, there's an elderly teacher who wants to retire, but is looking after these 2 students, one of them being Okazaki, the main character, and Tsunohara, his best friend, who he also hates. And I don't blame him, but I also blame him. It's a whole thing. Oh, hello? Oh, hold on a second. Sorry, I thought there was someone saying my name. So the teacher, that's Komura, he wants to make sure that the 2 of them are okay before he retires. They're the delinquents, they're the troublemakers, but he kind of took them under his wing. And essentially the end of his route is letting him know, hey, we appreciate everything you've done for us. Thank you for being with us and making sure we graduated. You're the man, but you can rest. And so you get his orb. There's the dorm mother, Misai, who's like one of the best characters. And her orb of light is about this unfinished business that she had with someone from her youth who she fell in love with and fell in love with her, but that person disappeared. And through getting closer to her and opening up to her and learning about that, Tomoya then later learns about what happened to that person. And it's weird because if I'm understanding correctly, they were a cat who, oh God, let's see if I can get this all right. There was a sick boy who befriended Misai, and the boy died. But he wanted to make her happy because she made him happy. So the boy's cat inherited that wish. So the cat became a human that looked like the kid and went to go befriend Misai and fell in love with her, and she fell in love with him, not knowing that he's a cat. And then after he made her happy by giving her love, he turned back into a fucking cat. I swear, it's actually good. But what the fuck did I just say? What the fuck did I just read? What the fuck did I just watch? There's a lot of that just weird supernatural bullshit, and there's times like with the illusionary world where I think it works, but then there's the shit like, oh, the reason Ushio is dying is because she inherited her mother's sickness, which is not like a natural sickness. It's because the town put a curse on her because Akio and Sanai wanted to fulfill their own dreams, and then when their daughter was dying, they said, we're gonna put our lives on hold to be with our daughter, and then they let their daughter go when she was happy and moved in with Tomoya. Not because, hey, she's gone, we can live our lives now, but because they wanted their kid to be happy, but it didn't matter. I guess the town said, fuck you anyways. And there's kind of this thing about how, like, you know, the town is changing and the town is growing because there's new things being built, but when something new is, when something new is built, something old has to be replaced or torn down. And that's also kind of the idea, is that, like, for Ushio to exist, Nagisa has to die, but again, she's sick like her mom even after Tomoya gets his shit together and becomes an actual fucking father, because, I don't know, he's not a good enough father, and to be a good enough father, he has to collect all these orbs of light because that's how his daughter and his wife end up being saved. I swear it's good, but I feel like I get the idea. The way it makes sense to me is the town is essentially telling Tomoya, you hate me. Because literally, like, his first line in the game, like, there's a little bit of shit before, like, in the illusionary world, I think his first actual line in the game is, I hate this town. And so many of his arcs, I think May's, Kape's in particular, which I'm going to be honest, it's an arc that's not in the anime, and I understand why. I really didn't enjoy it. I just kind of found Kape really fucking annoying. It is a theme about growing to appreciate the town. And pretty much every arc is about appreciating the people in it. And a lot of them will talk about how much I love this town, how much it means to me, how much the people mean to me. And slowly but surely, it grows on Tomoya. Again, like, Tomoya's growth is a major fucking part of this story. And I think with him being reset at the end of every arc, a lot of that is lost, and I think that's why the anime is a lot stronger. Also, being able to hear his voice acting and be able to see his expressions. Like, oh my god, I've talked about it. The scene that always fucks me up is Tomoya and Ushio in the field of flowers, and it's not, I can't cry unless I'm in the bathroom, or I'm already crying, or in daddy's arms, and then he realizes how shit of a dad he's been. He just hugs his daughter, and he lets her cry, and then they're on the train together, and then she's like, can you tell me about mommy? Because she asked him that earlier on the train ride over, and he's like, I can't, like, I refuse to talk about her. And now he's like, you know what, kid, let me talk to you about your mom. And as he's talking about Nagisa, and he just starts breaking down, and he is weeping, and you hear his voice, and you see his face. I was still crying in the VN, don't get me wrong, but it, to me, hits so much harder in the anime. And I feel like Tomoya's growth of genuinely learning to love the town and its people hits harder when it's not being reset constantly. And I was saying earlier how a lot of the main routes don't feel like they matter, and I didn't forget that. I should have put a pin in the wall to make it easier for me to remember. I don't know why, just that little visual, it helps. So many orbs of light are just, like I said, it's like helping people with their unfinished business or giving them a dream. What's Kyo's orb of light? Dating Tomoya. Because I'm not gonna lie, I don't like Kyo in the VN. I find her really annoying, and I don't find her violent tendencies to be all that endearing. And then what is her story in her route? Ultimately, it's this. She really liked Tomoya, but didn't have the courage to, like, go up and do anything about it. then her sister goes up to her and is like, hey, I really like Okazaki. And Kyo going, oh shit, my sister likes the guy that I really like. Tell you what, I'm gonna help my sister hook up with him, because that way he'll still be around me. I can't have him, but my sister will have him, and my sister's my twin, so then I basically have him. Then, as that's going on, has a scene with Okazaki where she's like, hey, have you kissed my sister yet? No. Well, when you kiss her, you gotta make sure you do it right. The first kiss is super. Maybe you and I can practice. Like, hey, we're not like kissing, but we can practice kissing to make sure you get it right. And if you've ever watched School Days, that should sound really fucking familiar. I was not expecting there to be a fucking School Days route. And it doesn't go that far, because of course it doesn't. But it's not endearing in the slightest. So like, what is her orb of light, her wish? It's to be in a relationship with Tomoya. Cool, I got her orb of light. Now I don't interact with her. It's like, essentially, you granted her wish and then you broke her heart. Not that you actually broke up with her, because it resets, but ultimately it's like it doesn't matter, because all of this is for Nagisa and for Ushio and for the town to be satisfied with you. Or essentially, again, like the way I was trying to say it, to me it sounds like the town is saying, you hate me and I hate you, but I will do you a solid. If you can make the people in this town happy, if you can make my people happy, I will give you, Tomoya, your greatest wish, which is for your wife and your daughter to be happy and healthy with you. And that's fine. Like, I actually kind of like that. Again, like the way it's explained, and when you actually think about how it works, I'm like, I don't know how, what? But conceptually, I think it works. But when it's like, okay, I have to, like, for some of them, it's like you're giving them closure. Komura or Misai. And it works really well. But when it's for, like, Katomi or Kyo or Tomoyo, where it's like, what really is that orb of light? It's essentially being in a relationship with Tomoya. And then they don't get to keep their wish. Because the route resets. There's no consistent, like, stayed growth or closure for these characters. So I'm kind of left thinking then, so I did Katomi's route, I got her orb of light through our relationship, but also giving her closure for how shitty their friendship ended when they were kids, and her closure over her parents. And I've also helped her grow so she can now, like, have friends and have her own life, not bound by the shackles of her past. But then the route resets. So she resets and her growth resets. And then I just end up in a relationship with Nagisa and do her after story. So that means, as far as I understand it, in this medium, nothing I did for Katomi matters. I gave her temporary happiness, and then the universe reset. Compared to the anime, where does she get the relationship with Tomoya, like the romantic one? No, but she gets the emotional growth, and she gets the closure, and that makes it far more satisfying. Yeah, as I talked, I came around, it's like, yeah, family is the bigger theme in Clannad. I get it. But I think it's the theme of growth that hits me harder. So I think that's kind of what I mean, is like, to me, it's the more important theme. And it being a visual novel, I think, actively interferes with that. Now, with all of that being said, I do like the story and stories of Clannad. Fuko's arc made me cry. There's definitely scenes of it in the anime that have made me cry. I think Katomi's story is fantastic. And I'm like, if Katomi had an after story, that one I might play. Because, like, this is just such a sweet story. And I just want to see this girl be happy. And boy, do you not hear about her at all in After Story. And I think that's a damn shame and a fucking crime. Kyo is, like I said, it's some School Days bullshit. I don't really like it. I think Tomoyo's is okay. It's not my favorite, but I do think it's pretty solid. Nagisa's is great. And thinking of the side arcs. Yukine's, I think it's alright. I actually think I like it quite a bit. I think I like it a little bit more in the anime. Misai's, like, it's fucking weird, like I said. Mei's, which is also Sunohara's, I don't know, I kind of like it, but I don't think I love it. Komura's, I like the resolution, but he's barely in his own route. Most of it is just a 3-on-3 basketball game for the drama club, and it's kind of weird. Fuko is just 10 out of 10. Like, just the most consistently funny character. Let's see. Kape, I just found kind of annoying. But I mean, I like that Ro gets a happy ending there. I actually think Ro is just a really sweet, adorable character. There's the baseball arc, which is optional. There's no Orb of Light there, but it's great. And that has an episode of the anime, and it's great. And then looking in, I think those are the routes in part 1, and then the after story orbs. Sanai is, I like it. I like Sanai a lot. I like Akio. I think Akio is my favorite character overall. Because to me, Akio is just life goals. This dude, he has a house. He has a family that loves him. He has a hot wife that just is on his level when it comes to vibes. And that's the fucking dream right there. Just having a partner who loves you and understands you and matches your weird energy. He's loved everywhere around the town. He learned a trade. And while he was unable to pursue the dreams he had in his youth, as he says to Nagisa, I have a new dream, and my new dream is my family's happiness. And when my family is happy, I am happy. And I think that's just a beautiful fucking thing, man. I think his actual arc, like when you get his Orb of Light, I don't even really get it. Because I kind of almost get the idea of if it was closure. Like, you know, like he got to see his old troupe perform, thought it was really cool, but he's happy where he is. And I think that's the idea, but he doesn't really get to talk about their performance because he's involved in a bus hijacking. And it's fine, I guess, but it's like, oh, for like being Akio's route, it's all right. Yoshino's story is fucking great. I love Yoshino's character. I keep wanting to call him Oshino, but that's not wrong. That is wrong. There's a Y there. Ibuki, I mean, her Orb of Light is, you know, being able to be married to the man that she loves with her sister being there, and that's just the sweetest fucking thing possible. Tomoya's dad, that's fuck, that's some emotional shit. I do really like that storyline. I think, honestly, it's one of my favorite parts of Tomoyo's route. Because a lot of her route is Tomoya talking about his relationship with his dad. And like Nagisa, both of them are like, hey, like, I love you. I want our relationship to work. But like, he is important in your life as well, and that is shit that you also have to fix. I think the best part, whether it's the VN, whether it's the anime, it's Ushio. It's that whole route. When I was... So from about the part of Nagisa's death up to Ushio's death, I read that in about, I don't know. It felt like 30 minutes. I mean, honestly, it felt like 15, 20 minutes, but I know it wasn't that quick. I was just crying off and on and off and on. I was like, yeah, there's a little bit there from Nagisa dying. Oh man, like hearing Tomoya being a shitty dad, like that's kind of got me a bit too. Oh, here's Daddy's arms. And then there's Sanai crying, and I'm fucking crying there too. I'm like, damn it, I fucking hate this shit. But I love it. That is easily my favorite part of the story. After story in general, I think is the best part. The reason I love it so much is again, it's that theme of growth. You could argue again that it is kind of subservient to the main theme of family. It's Tomoya trying to take care of his girlfriend, who then becomes his wife, and then shaping up, trying to become a better father. But the way I see it is this man growing. He is going from a shithead punk kid into a man. And about how a man has to do what a man has to do. And that can be a lot of different things. It can be being the breadwinner. It can be being the stay-at-home husband or the stay-at-home father while your wife goes out and does shit. It doesn't matter. It depends on the context of the situation. In Tomoya's situation, like, this is what I need to do. And I have to, like, grow into my role. And I genuinely love seeing that. I don't really know what else I have to say. I guess the short version is, because if you check, I don't have any notes. I was just like, I kind of just want to go and talk about Clannad, because I finished it. Yeah, I did finish it yesterday. And I did do some of like the extra meme shit. Like I said, I did the baseball arc. I did the Sunohara route. Not the Mei route, the Sunohara route. And I saw Jet Saito. That was weird. It was kind of funny, but I was like, what the fuck just happened? Which is what I say a lot during Clannad. Like, why is this here? But okay. I will say the one thing I think the VN does do better, which, I mean, to be fair, given its nature of constantly resetting, it's not like it could have done this. But one thing I don't like about the anime is how after Fuko's arc, she keeps showing up. Because I feel like it makes it it's far more emotional if she doesn't show up again until after story. And every time she shows up, it's goofy and it's funny, but for me, like, it cheapens the emotional impact of the end of her route. Because fuck, for me, that had a lot of emotional impact. Is there anything else I would say I think the VN does better? Again, like, if there's a particular character you really like, you just want to see her end up with Tomoya, like, there's that. Aside from that, I don't... Oh, there is the like, choose your own adventure zombie high school game. That was really fucking funny. I loved that. I actually did that a few times just to, like, to see if I could get to the end, and I did, and it was awesome. But short version. I think Clannad has a very likable and strong story about growing to love the place where you live and the people in it and wanting to make them happy and becoming a better, more stable person. Personally, I think that story is better told given that strong centralizing theme of growth as a linear narrative rather than let's do this story, credits, this story, credits, and then just resetting every time. I feel like it not only cheapens the growth of your main character, and not to say that, like, I mean, if you just do Nagisa's route and everything, like, I do think he genuinely grows, but I don't think it's quite as strong. But it also cheapens the endings that some of these characters get. A, because their ending doesn't stick because you didn't you did their route, but then you did other shit anyways. Because there's not like a little epilogue where it shows like, okay, cool, like this is where everyone is, like it does in the anime. Like, oh gosh, like that one extra scene of just showing, here is everyone. Everyone is good. And then you get like that fucking like vocal version of Nagisa's theme, not the Dongo theme, but I mean, it is the Dongo theme musically, but it's a different version of it. And then and then it ends with the oh god of little baby Tomoya walking with his dad, and fuck that the saddest shit. um, I think in the anime it's like fucking perfect. The anime has its problems because it's Clannad. There are problems, but I genuinely love the themes and the ideas and the cast eventually, but the cast that I kind of don't care a lot about the problems. I feel like since I don't connect with the story or the cast quite as much in the VN, and it has its own unique problems brought about by its medium, that I don't enjoy it as much. The music is fantastic, though. I've not said anything about the music. I love it. There are a lot of stuff. How fucked up my hair is. That song like kind of just gives me chills like almost any time I hear it. It's like, oh, I remember that one. Or which there's like two versions of that are really good. And then of course the fucking Dongo song, which oh gosh, just boy, that's I just think it's really pretty and it's very cute. And then it plays when she dies, and it's not pretty, and it's not cute, and then I'm ugly crying, and it's the worst shit you've ever heard in your life. Um, I would genuinely say, if you have not experienced Clannad in any medium and you're interested, watch the anime. If you've seen the anime and you want to read the VN, I mean, do it if you want. I mean, I feel like I would. It's not to the point where I'm like, no, it's so bad it ruins everything. Like, no. I don't feel like you're really gonna get too much out of it. At least I didn't. Maybe just kind of go on YouTube and find a playthrough of the routes that were adapted, like Kape's, or you're like, you know what? I just really like Yukine, so I want to see the ending where they get together. I mean, that's fine. Go for it. I really don't think you need to read the whole the end for that. And especially like with After Story, like everything that happens in After, I don't know if everything does. I don't know like if Sanai and Akio's route did. I don't know how much you're really missing though. It's not that they're bad routes, but it's not like, yeah, you gotta do everything in Clannad so you can get to After Story, and then you can read this one kind of thing. It's like, you can just look it up if you want to read it, I think. So, I think that's it. I think that's Clannad. Funny enough, before I recorded this, I did eat some Dongo, because I fucking love Dongo. I think Dongo is delicious. Dango, 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 daikazoku.